But yeah, I'd never seen it blow that bad. And then once you started getting into New Mexico, it was clearing up because the sun set, and you could see better. Behind you was just
Deming
black.
had a haboo.
A what?
Haboo.
What's that?
It's a wall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Phoenix gets those.
Mm. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Ruidoso workshop meeting. If you will stand with me, we'll have a moment of silence and then the pledge. Thank you very much. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Can I get a roll call, please, ma'am?
Mayor Crawford.
Here.
Councilor Salas.
Here.
Councilor Letterman.
Here.
Councilor Eby.
Here.
Councilor Hooker.
Here.
Councilor Jackson.
Here.
And Councilor Corey.
Here.
Have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Is Jenny out of town? Sick? Oh, man. Well, I've been there. And we hear T-Bone's nearly back in action. He's got the bionic, is it bionic? Yep. Hip.
Oh, he got his hip
Yep.
replaced?
And so he's doing really good. He's under strict orders to stay at home in the recliner because you know how he is. So we'll have roll call and remember that no decisions are made except for discussion on items, and we'll put them on regular items or consent. We welcome the newspaper, and because maybe we can get a real good article written about what power service, planned service power, PSPS, I can't remember what. Shut off is all about. Because if I got all the calls I got, I know y'all did too. Somebody inherently thinks they know, they've talked to and said they know. They talked to P&M and that they were definitely shutting the power off yesterday. And P&M was on there saying, well, definitely we're here and we're not planning on it. But that does not mean if a tree limb, something falls into it. So it's a big decision that people are going to have to make. Are you going to invest in generators or whatever? And we are in discussions with P&M, Ron, about breaks, rebates, and all that on equipment.
Yes, their mayor and council, they're working with their higher ups and trying to find any type of rebate or any type of tax credit they might be able to issue to individual homeowners that purchase, any type of generator or whatnot. So they're not cheap, those generators, just
No,
ones.
20 grand for my house.
We just leased them. We're going to have them here for a week, but for a month, they're 30 grand and they're 10,000 a piece to have just out there. So, but we're just being prepared for
Just
this.
rented.
Yep.
The PSA yesterday helped. We were debating going and buying ice, and then when
Yep.
Carrie released that.
Right, and she worked with Eric on that and Kate and Chief, and they did a great job with that. And then we were on the phone yesterday with P&M. Carlos, we had the same mayor, one of the gentlemen that was on the radio with us, he assured us they weren't, it wasn't to that limit. Of course, they couldn't give us that. And then Zach and I visited with the PRC, and P&M does not have to have an approved plan. They just have to have it reviewed, but it doesn't have to be approved. So we spoke to the chief of staff for the PRC and one of the commissioners, so.
How far in advance do they notify you?
They don't have a definite timeline.
So far, what's happened is when it gets windy, everybody panics and says they're shutting it off.
Sure.
Yes.
What they've told us time and time again in all the meetings, that they can forecast these deals, 4, 5, 6 days out, and they will start letting us know that it looks like an event's coming. And then they stage other companies and other employees from their company to be here so that once it's shut off and they get ready to turn back on, they have enough people to visually inspect, so we're back on in hours instead of days. So we have a plan, and then somebody always says, that they got the word from P&M, and then we make calls.
Yes.
And our new rep, Kevin Cardozo, we're getting to know him really
Oh,
great.
yes.
And he answers the calls, so
Yep.
it's coming, I have no doubt. But, and people need to be prepared. Also, there's legislation being put through, and it got to do pass first, but it's got to go to budget, finance, on being able to get a tax credit if you spend it on your house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so
So,
that,
meaning if you get a generator.
A
You can-
state tax credit or federal?
they're talking about state. So, those that don't pay very much in income tax or whatever, I don't know how it helps you, and then being able to apply to a fund. And then, because we have a lot of folks that we've got contact information with, that we learned through the fires, the last ones, that have the dialysis equipment, oxygen, things of that nature that need to know. So we've been working on it for some time. And again, on the airplanes, helicopter stationed here, we haven't got that concluded. We're working with Aero Air, Ted Stallings and his bunch, about being able to put full-time helicopters here permanently, but that's not done yet. So, and yesterday reminds us of how bad it can get pretty quick. But I can tell you, it wasn't nearly as bad here as it was in Hereford, Texas. My gosh, it was terrible.
No.
Okay. Item number 1 on the agenda items for looking at is discussion on the 2025 Ruidoso Strategic Plan. And so,
Mayor and council, this is the final plan with all the, working with Gina and Jenny and Yvonne. Want to thank them for assisting and putting that together. They finalized it, and this is good to go. We'll be utilizing this for the next, for budget and for the upcoming fiscal year.
It looks good. Ron, I wouldn't list it as a council member.
Okay.
that's why it
That's
looks so
what I
good.
was missing. I go, there was something missing out of there. You're right.
But it looks good. Thanks, Eva.
A lot of information in there, so thank you for looking at that and for putting it together. So we'll obviously have that on the, on where do you want it?
Regular.
Just regular items?
Okay.
Item number 2, discussion on agreement with, before we get started, Chief, Fire Chief, the fire that's on off 70 down by the alluvial fans that's by the truck stop? Yes, sir. So we got it out? Excellent. It's about time, yeah, because I didn't know how they were going to get that out yesterday during that wind, but thank you for keeping us updated. Okay, thank you. Item number 2, discussion on agreement with Jennifer Vra for FM translator rebroadcast programming in the amount of $24,000. And is Jennifer related to?
Former wife of.
Okay, that's it.
Yes.
So this is for 99.1 radio station, that since they've bought all those, that they have to release some, and so we're looking at an annual lease on that, and that's what this is reflective of. And then once we can do this, we have a commission-only salesperson that will sell ads to offset expenses on
So
this and
will
other things.
this be simulcast AM, FM?
Yes, sir. Same programming, and I listened to it all the way past Carrizozo the other day. I didn't realize it'd go that far and it just reaches a lot bigger reach.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I just had a question, Mr. Mayor, that I noticed that in the contract, it has an escalator of 4% per annum, I suppose, rather than to have it tied to a CPI. And I wondered if that was the case that we were going to continue with, or I realize some years that can be more, some years that can be less, so just kind of an average, or how
I
to,
believe that's the industry
standard?
standard. This was written by Carrie Tepper, who's our
Attorney.
attorney for the FCC matters. And that's the way he drafted it, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so discussion or regular, sorry.
I think we
We
should.
could have a discussion
Okay.
on regular, yeah.
Okay, so
We could
y'all want-
Post about it,
Y'all want to know regular?
yes.
Item number 3, discussion on Ting Hanger agreement between the Village of Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport and Macon McDonald for Charlie 10 T Hanger beginning March 14th, 2025.
And Mayor and Council, these are the, just the regular T-hanger agreements that are, we've approved prior and we'll continue on with them, so.
You want to do consent?
I say consent on all of them.
Oh, and
So
Mr.
you got 4, 5,
Six.
6, all of them consent.
Consent.
And just let you know, I don't see Michael. I don't see Lee.
Mayor and Council, Michael's at a meeting at the 6:03.
Okay, good.
On Mr. Mayor, I had a question there as well. Under the contract, it says they must follow the rules and regs, and it can only be used for plans, and I think that's all fine, but are they actually given any rules, actual rules and regs with the renewal of the contract? Because we're citing that as what they must follow.
I know Mayor Crawford, Councilor Jackson, we're working with Zach and making sure that all those, everything that's in the contract, that we're letting them know and they have to abide by those rules and regulations.
Those procedures also include the handling of the cards.
Yes.
Yeah, just everything. You can't.
Mayor, has that kind of calmed down now?
Somewhat, but it's getting ready to really be stirred up because Mike and Lee were at the FAA conference in Dallas. And airports like ours all over the country have been administering their contracts wrong. When somebody comes out and invests, that we give them a long-term lease, 25 years, 30 years on their hangar. So they get their ROI and then they have a small land lease. It says specifically that at the end of that lease, it reverts back to the airport, the municipality. And what has historically been done, going on here for years, is that we let that person that built it sell it.
Oh,
And you sell it to him, and then everybody's been getting another lease. What they're saying is, that's ours now, and if you want to do it, you have a lease, which would be, for a big building, $2,000, $3,000 a month. If you want somebody else to get it, what they get is the ability to have the lease, not the property. So this has been administered wrong all over the country, and so that's something we're going to have to delve into, because it is technically an asset of the village.
Yes.
It's just like on the leaks, all the investments, it's just like on other things that have been built that it's on village property that has that lease, it's ours. So we need to look at the hotel, we need to look at all that.
Yep, and Mayor and Council, just as the mayor stated, is they would not be, the lease would be from us, after the lease was expired, and then they would rent it from us. So it'd be our asset. We would be the ones receiving the,
How often do we adjust the lease rates?
there's Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, the lease rates on there it has a CPI listed on there, but there's some that have been the same amount, and it's just on the property lease is what it is, but it's very minimal. What was that, Zach? On the, it was not, some of those have gone for years and years.
And, and then we've had people that have sold it and didn't even let us know, but then the county recorded it, and those are totally illegal. But then you've got people that have been buying monthly for years on a private deal we didn't know anything about, and it says specifically in the lease you can't do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to we're meeting with those folks, and we have met with them to let them know. So it's a sticky wicket for sure.
There's 3 or 4 that leasing from the landlord, I guess you're going to call that are have their planes and they're leasing it, so leasing a space.
Hang on. Okay, we'll move on to item number 7. Discussion on award of RFP 2025-005P to AV Fuel Corporation for aviation fuel supply, equipment, and services.
Mayor,
Same.
Council, this is, the village went out for an RFP and this was this was the one selected with the ranking and rating with AvFuel. They've been doing the fuel now for, I'm going to say 15 years. Rifle, were you here when AvFuel?
been
Even
a
longer
long
than that.
time.
This is they were awarded the RFP, and then the next item is the contract, so.
Okay,
Consent.
okay, consent. What about the? Okay, okay. Item number 9, discussion on adoption of resolution 2025-08. Resolution authorizing the participation in the Transportation Project Fund Program administered by the New Mexico Department of Transportation for fiscal year 2026 in the amount of $2 million. What is this one on?
Mayor, this is going to be from Chief.
No, this is the DOT.
DOT.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm looking at the wrong one here. This is going to be for the TPF funding. The applications are due in April. We actually have our PFF meeting with the Department of Transportation and with the SERPTO group, Mary Ann Burr, next Monday. And this here is going to be for our project that we're going to be applying for. And you can, this one here was the project, we had 2 projects submitted last year. Our top project was selected. This was our second one, so we're going to reapply with this one here, and that has all the streets that are listed on there, so.
And I did speak in support of DOT, $1.5 billion on top of the money that has been allocated to DOT, but it's going to be in the form of bonding. And we had originally just supported them paying for it straight out, but they weren't going to fund it that way. So there's a bill being written. I can't remember the name, forgive me, if it's House Bill 135 or it's, I've forgotten by now. But basically allowing, because there's so many roads that need to be done, and that allows the DOT to, work with other contractors that are, almost all the good ones are already busy. So to be able to fix roads, bridges, TPF funding that we get comes through that MAP programming, MAP funding. All these different funding sources are part of that DOT. So it hasn't passed yet. It's got some really good support right now because people recognize. And if you've driven from here to Hobbs, you can see the roads that need a lot of help, so.
In Mayor and Council, the roads that we're requesting is for Meander Drive, Cream Meadows Drive, White Mountain Meadows Drive, and that's part of this group, and they're all school bus routes also.
Mayor, Ron, a side question. I was asked the other day on road cuts that property owners are doing, are they reimbursing the village?
What they should be, yes.
They pay a fee.
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, what they'll do is if it's a contract they're doing for the work, if they're doing a sewer, they have to contact the street department. They get a permit, and then they have to go, pay for that permit, and then they have to go and have their contractor either will do it or they'll do it, but they need to meet the specification on
Are
it.
those funds specifically tied? In other words, those fees, are they going in the general fund or are they?
Those would be general fund, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and another question is the road cuts, Kinetics doing, are they reimbursing us, or is that part of the arrangement?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, they're working with us on those. I'll have to get with Adam on that because he's permitting those to see. I know we were working with them. They're trying to do is a lot of boring, but they're still damaging the road even with the boring, so.
We've had, with the rock or whatever, that bore veers, and we've had a lot of water breaks, so we've asked them not to do it on the weekends anymore, to try to give our crews a rest, because every weekend.
Yeah, and we have been working with them, trying to partner with them on when it's a utility, but.
Okay, thank you.
So consent or regular on number 9?
Consent.
Item number 10 is discussion on purchase of Code 3 Technology Mark 43 CAD dispatch software through Omnia, contract number 226017-02 for consolidated dispatch in the amount of $91,728. Morning, Chief.
Good morning. So this is, as I had spoke about before, this is the computer-aided dispatch software, the Mark 43 that we were going to try and go to. This contract, or this amount actually includes the implementation, I think, the first year licensing fees for the software.
And is this the one that was done through the municipally, or the Chiefs Association? Or is this the new one?
There's not one that the state actually pays for. This is the program that the large agencies, or several of them are going to now. State Police has actually transferred everything over to Mark 43, their dispatch, and their, the next item that's on here is their report management system. But a lot of the agencies are starting to go to this one.
Chief, does this software, does it communicate with any of our other software, or is it kind of a standalone?
I guess depending on what other software there is, there may be a way to integrate some of that. That would be a discussion that we could have once we know what we want to integrate into it. There may be a discussion that we can have to integrate, because I know this computer-aided dispatch, a good example of this is Ruidoso Downs. So currently, we dispatch for them. They've been using our report management system that we're using right now. And once we move over, they're free to get whatever report management system they want. So if they go with Phoenix or Motorola, whatever system they want, there's an integration that can happen so that the information that's put into the CAD from dispatch can transfer over to their report management system. So there is some integration that can happen. I guess we would have to figure out what we want integrated and have that discussion with them.
Chief, are we, so is the city of Ruidoso Downs going to help us pay for this? Is it in the?
So we've got that special board meeting coming up next
Yes.
week to have that discussion. I was reading through the JPA yesterday to see how that's going to work. So I don't know. I think that's a discussion that we need to have, and I'll have to sit down with Ron this week and see how that's going to work.
And Mayor Crawford, members of the council, you know, with the JPA, there's two different, there's for the salaries and there's for operating expenses. I feel it's operating expense. They should be also part of it. They're part of it, so they should pay their part on it. So that's my recommendation.
So that meeting's not this week?
It's on the 12th, I believe. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the 12th.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Regular, consent?
No consent.
Okay, wait a minute, now we got, I guess my printout's wrong. This one on mine says 72,000, and then I just read 91,000.
There's two of them.
That's the second one, Mr. Mayor.
On the agenda,
Number 10.
11 and.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
One's for CAD, the other one's for records
RMS.
management.
Okay. So where'd you want it?
Consent?
Okay. Item 11 is discussion on purchase of Code 3 Technology Mark 43 RMS Records Management Software through Omnia, contract 226017-02 for the Police Department in the amount of $72,450.00.
So this is the second half of that, which would cover the report management system for the police department, moving into that new system, Mark 43 system.
So what does that mean? I mean, what,
The RMS system. So that's our report management system. So anytime an officer takes a report, this is the system that actually we put all that information into.
oh, okay.
And part of the reason any of them the problem that we've got right now is that we're not able to report our crime statistics to the state, and they're tying they want to tie to the LEPF funds, our law enforcement protection funds, to us being able to report to the state. So if we're not compliant with them, there's a potential we could lose that, which was the big push to try and get this done as soon as possible.
Sure.
So this'll actually get us into the ability to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Consent?
Consent.
Item number 12, discussion on approval of Ruidoso Police Department policy increasing the radius of take-home vehicles to 50 miles. That only gets you to Alamogordo.
Correct.
I know, I was thinking that we had said something like 70 or 75.
And I know initially when I had presented, originally I had started with 40, and I know there was some discussion back and forth about, I think Council Corey even had said, you know, even if it was kind of a fluid thing, if we decided we needed to increase it at some point. So I didn't go, for me to get to the next community that would benefit us would be Roswell, and I would probably have to go to about 80 miles.
Yep.
And so I was kind of starting on the lower end of it to see, one, how that, you know, how that's gonna work, and if we can get that done. And then potentially in the future, if it looks like there's some, if we can start bringing people in from the east side of the state, you know, maybe open that up, that last 30 miles.
I mean, because Alamogordo's is at 65?
It's 45, the radius, that when we presented the 40-mile radius from the village limits, it actually puts us just to the other side of Alamogordo, about in the Bulls
No, I'm
Acres
talking
area.
about Alamogordo's.
Oh, Alamogordo, yes,
Theirs
there's
is 65.
65 mile.
And it's all just about for recruitment. You know, and we've had officers before that drove from Roswell and drove from other places. That's pretty difficult. But it is amazing. After we were at the Municipal League, thank everybody for everybody going. But talking to some of the chiefs that were there, whatever, they've got people driving crazy amount of.
Really?
Yeah, that they'll drive up and stay, and that they've even had officers that have started a LLC where they would rent a house and then work it out with different ones that come in.
To stay there.
So during the week, they come in and stay. They get paid to drive all the way in and drive it home, but then they said the drive is what's killing them.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, long ways away. The guy from Edgewood was talking about how far that his people were driving. Some from Texas. I didn't even know that you could get that close to and drive over. So,
I
you know,
think 50 miles is too little.
so that's something that you need to monitor and see that, are we meeting our objective, you know, our goal to try to get there? But then when you get over that, driving back and forth, you can talk to Judy over there and see how she likes driving every day. She's just the Iron Princess, but she, you know, a will like hers that not everybody has, and so.
Well, and I think that's the hope too, is that if we can find those people that are out of our jurisdiction, eventually, if we can get them on board, then eventually they can find a way to get over here and not make that a permanent thing. However, you know, that at least the option's there.
And this is where the discussion has to be talked about, not just 603, but the 72 units that are getting ready to start construction next month. That wasn't a very. Yeah.
April is the date. They're waiting on a environment or a SHPO clearance from the state is what
Okay.
we were told.
So those are things that we need to look at, you know, of how do we manage and make available because of public safety.
Well, why wouldn't we want to just match Alamogordo if they're 65?
I'd say Alamogordo, they're 65, so I don't know who they're targeting besides us.
Well, and then they've got two officers that drive from Hatch, so they were able to pick up a little bit more. And I think the unique thing about us is we're kind of an island. There's nothing really close to us besides Alamogordo and Roswell. So it's one of those, we either pick up just Alamogordo or we pick up Alamogordo and Roswell, because there's really nothing in between, and there's nothing much to the north of us. This does give us the ability to go to Tularosa, Carrizozo. Capitan we were already within that, and then it also covers.
It does pick up Alamogordo.
And it does pick up Alamogordo, and we would also have Hondo, because Hondo's just on the other side of that where we sit right now.
Okay.
Yeah, the only one if we went 65 would be Roswell.
But then you'd only get part of Roswell.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the actual radius, and that's why I'm thinking we would be at about 80 miles to try and encompass enough of Roswell to make it worth it.
Well, I think the message you're hearing is open-mindedness, and as we go forward, if you feel we need to increase that.
I just don't understand why we would put it to 50 when it's not going to cover
Well,
what we're.
and thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'm wondering, with respect to not tying the chief's hands, if this couldn't just be reworded to say to 50 miles or at the discretion of the chief.
I don't want to get into lawyer talk, arbitrary, capricious, that you pick this one out and you pick that one. I'd rather, you're the council, you can make a change right now and vote on it and just say 85, you know, or whatever, that we would get to that portion.
What's your will, chief?
I don't mind the option of having Roswell. I didn't want to push too far ahead to see. I wanted to see how far we could.
Well, you can
what
always
was-
use
What was
it.
going to benefit us as soon as possible,
Chief,
but,
it's like a condom, it'll be in your wallet.
Roswell does open up some other avenues for us. It does give us an opportunity to start promoting to the east of us as
I
well.
think that's what you should do.
Okay. Is it the will of the, Mr. Mayor, the will of the council to go to 85?
Okay, so we can, when we come up there, we can just, I don't know, if we can direct staff now, but next week, just make the adjustment, whatever you want in the motion, and then y'all vote on it. So we're gonna put this on regular?
Regular,
Yeah.
Okay, and Mayor, we can make the change on it?
Okay. So 85. And then if, Chief, do some math on that, and if that's gonna get you where you need to go. Just so you already have it, like the astute physician over here reminded us, if it's in your wallet, you can use it. anytime.
I'll double check the
You have the
radius.
will or the way, that's the.
Yes, I'll look at the radius and make sure that covers enough of what we need. Thank you.
Discussion on purchase of a 2025 Chevrolet Suburban? Yes.
Regular.
Regular item, sorry. Purchase of a 2025 Chevrolet Suburban four-wheel drive through Cooperative Services Partnership Manager in the amount of $64,920. What's up, Edward?
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
Morning.
This would be used for events, for groups coming in, showing them around the village, doing site tours, day-to-day event services, meeting with different groups, boards, and so forth. And just as a vehicle to be used generally for not just myself, but, for council, the mayor to use for trips going to Santa Fe or whatever it may be.
So we're gonna wrap it, put some funky graphics on it or something, or just.
That'd be great. That'd be cool.
Oh, it should be wrapped.
You know,
Eddie, what's happening with lodgers' tax receipts? Is it rebounding?
It is starting to come back. It was down 50%, but we're starting to see some turnaround now with it and starting to come back now. Don't know exactly the percentage of right now, but I can get that information for you.
And also, that we're coming into Xterra in August, and then the following year's Xterra, Ironman, and some other big functions. And I do know right now Michael's ending up driving his own personal vehicle more than he does the Suburban, because we've got it
Yeah, we don't want to
pushed
do
out all the
that.
time. So where are you getting the money from? Do you have it in budget where?
It is coming from the Corporate Education Services, CES.
We know that part, but where's your money coming from?
The-
extra tax that we got in, the payback, the correction.
Oh, from the windfall, from
It's
the.
already budgeted.
And see, did y'all notice how he did that without him turning around and looking at Judy? He just was pushing that one right there. I know what I'm talking about.
I think it's a great idea.
Well, but I agree with Counselor Hooker. Let's get something on the vehicle that really
I know that may be,
cause.
it might be
Thank you.
radical as far as we tried to brand everything, and I mean, that does look good, all the signage, but if you're gonna have something like that and it's showing people, I don't know, just thought.
Yeah, but
Because
it's
I know we
gotta
went to a
look
phase,
classy.
remember, where everything was lettered, and they're like, we don't want it all on there.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
so, but we can determine that
We'll have
later.
to, Mayor and Council will have to visit with the branding czar because she's pretty strict on her.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Tell her to loosen up.
Yes.
It needs to be classy.
So, when was the last time what's that Suburban that we have out there now?
2000, is it 18? Okay.
And that one you drive's that old, so, I think we need to keep up that. Okay, Eddie? So y'all want this on consent or regular?
Consent.
Okay, attaboy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Eddie.
pretty good.
Thank you, Eddie.
Item number 14, discussion on approval of You better get it for the tariffs go into effect, buddy.
They have it in stock already, so.
Yeah, you better
Got it up
get
pretty
it.
quick.
Damn it. It's going up 10%.
25%.
Item 14, discussion on approval or denial of request to schedule a public hearing on April 8th, 2025 to hear an appeal denying the denial of Planning Commission Case PV 2025-3. The Planning Commission held a quasi-judicial public hearing on February the 4th, 2025, where the variance to encroach 19.4 feet into the 20-foot west front yard setback and 6.7 feet into the 20-foot north side yard setback to construct a 20 by 22-foot carport was unanimously denied. So good morning, Alex. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. So we did receive a request for an appeal of a denial of a variance by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The appeal must specify an error in a decision made by the commission in there. So what the request is, that will be included in the packet for you to look at the regular meeting next week. What the request is then would be if you determine that this appeal should be heard, you would then schedule the public hearing for the April meeting.
Okay. So obviously we'll have this one on regular.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, folks. That was a lot of work for nothing, getting up and coming down here, so appreciate it. Item number 15, discussion on amended resolution 2025-07, a resolution establishing a restricted cash account and related liability account in the Gavilan Road Transfer Station Reserve Fund to provide funds for the future closure and post-closure costs of the facility known as the Gavilan County Road Transfer Station in the amount of $34,463.20. That doesn't mean we're planning on shutting it down anytime soon, right, Jerry?
No, sir.
Right.
No, sir. Our permit's still good for 10 years.
Exactly.
And I thought we discussed this last.
I did too.
We did.
Okay.
Help us out.
NMED wanted one little wording changed.
Oh,
So we have to bring it before y'all, Mayor, councilors, because according to the 20.9.10.9 or 28 of the NMED rules, they want the Secretary of the New Mexico Environmental Department to be able to get to the fund if they have to, instead of just
Instead of asking us.
So we can just, do we have to hear it again, or can we say right now?
No, we
consent?
can make the changes
Yes,
on
and
the
Mayor and Council,
contract.
this is just an amendment, and we'll move forward with it. Just go on consent, and we'll move it forward.
Their main concern, Mayor and Council, was that they saw that the manager had the authority, and they said, well, what happens if you don't give us the money and you leave it abandoned? And so they just want it changed to the secretary's name.
Maybe they're doing a little recon on you, Jerry. So consent?
I say consent.
Yeah, because,
with the changes.
yeah, with changes. Because I got a couple of phone calls and they thought we were putting it back on there because something happened, we were closing it down. I assured them we weren't. But
no, sir.
people are, because we worked hard to get that 10-year permit, so,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank
Thanks,
y'all.
Jerry.
Jerry. Appreciate
Thank you, Jerry.
Item number 16, discussion on purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA's, from Municipal Service Company through Sourcewell contract number 011824 in the amount of $267,421.23. And go ahead, Chief.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This right here would be coming from a AFG grant that we were awarded last year, actually. So that's Assistance for Firefighter Grant. So it's $254,836.28 is what we were awarded, and then we have to match 5%, which will give us that $267,578.10.
And is this for firefighters?
Yes, these are the air packs that we wear.
Yeah, okay.
So how many is that? I didn't see
So
that.
that's 27 packs, 54 bottles, and 27 masks.
Was this budgeted?
It's a grant.
It's a grant.
Okay.
But your 5% is in your firefighter fund?
Exactly.
Yep. And the SURF? Okay. SURF, okay.
And Mr. Mayor and Chief, if I recall correctly, these basically run on room air, is that correct?
Correct.
From your compressor that you have, and that's how you recharge them, and,
Exactly.
okay.
And we can use that other trailer that we have to refill them?
Yes, sir.
Bottles?
Yeah,
You remember when we got that?
yes.
Right.
What do y'all want this on, consent? Item number 17, discussion on purchase of bunker gear from Curtis through New Mexico State Contract ITB 21001 in the amount of $78,375.90.
Yes, and this is going to be our bunker gear that we budgeted last year, and it was general fund, is that correct, Judy?
Yes.
So it's on a total of 70,
Yeah, 78,375.
yes, sir, exactly.
Forgive me, Chief, what is this?
This is the bunker gear that we wear, so this is going to be the hood, the jackets, the pants, and
Okay,
the stuff.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, consent?
okay? Yep.
We can't have you out there unclothed.
No.
Well, and some of that stuff, it looks good, but after you've worn it,
Yeah.
They have a
Breaks
10-year
down.
expiration.
yep.
And do you have to size everybody? That's what I
But I
figured.
think
'cause
it's
you-
after they get through their initial period, right? Their
Correct.
probationary period.
Yeah.
They kind of get the hand-me-downs like the stepchild.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, you don't want running out.
And then they get fitted for the real deal.
Yeah, it's too expensive to get the rookies that you're not sure if they're going to make it.
Yeah, but without the bunker gear, they're not gonna make it.
That's correct.
Okay, what do y'all want this?
Consent.
Consent.
Consent, okay. 18, after closed session,
And 19 after closed session.
yep. Discussion regarding golf course lease agreement with Spirit Golf Management for the Links Golf Course, and discussion regarding the liquor license lease agreement with Spirit Golf. Did we get all that smoothed out finally?
I don't know, I haven't been brought in on that conversation.
Because Jenny's been working on that. And what they're doing is they're making somebody here be the designate, every liquor license has a contact person. And before, since it's our liquor license, it should be somebody with the village. And I have a liquor certificate, so I think that my name's gonna be on it, right?
Okay.
Right? Who did?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, must be important.
It's okay.
Crap. Excuse me just one second.
What?
Anyway, I'm not gonna talk about it in open session just yet, but just suffice to say, the police are on it. Okay. Yeah, and it was something that's more than likely very erroneous.
Okay.
So they're checking on it right now, but we don't wanna undue panic. We'll let the professionals take charge on that. Okay, item number, this cleans up the new things we're gonna go, so now we'll go over the regular, index for the agenda. Of course, we'll have, if we wanna have an invocation, if we have someone, Pledge of Allegiance, we'll do the salute to the flag. Consent regular items for February 11th, February 18th, March 4th. Approval of certificate of destruction for the clerk's department. And we'll have public input. And then under mail reports and presentation, we'll have new employees. We'll talk about proclamation for AmeriCorps week, annual update on the Humane Society of Lincoln County. And I know they've been full. Update on the 2025 Municipal League Annual Conference, which I was glad to see so many people attend.
Yeah, there was a lot of people.
Under the village manager's report, we're going to have an update on the Boys and Girls Clubs of Chavez and Lincoln counties and the clean and lean properties, an update for that. If there's anything else you can think of course, we're going to touch on 603 Meacham and some of those things because we're making a lot of headway right now.
Sure.
And then if we have a forced closure with, everybody just left, but going to level 2, we'll have that discussion.
That was the calls I was getting, yes, sir. When are we moving into level 2? And they said, well, right now we're not because of the moisture component. I tried to tell them the formula, how it's determined. So.
Is
that
level
would be
2 where
good.
you can't smoke outside?
Can't smoke outside,
No
no.
charcoal?
So we work in conjunction with the forestry and the state, and then had a meeting last week with the council, kind of an impromptu deal with the tribe. They called and said, could I come up? They wanted to go over just a few things to get clarification from our standpoint on the track. How did that, we own the property, what we're hoping to do soon, very soon. In Upper Canyon, we're on that.
Mayor and council, we did receive the property donations fully executed. We're just waiting on we're going to be doing a title search or title insurance and survey. We're waiting on the final survey.
Yeah, see, I've been counting that done for a week now.
And the tribe is throwing their support behind.
They sent a letter of support that we did at the committee meeting. Madam President was on Zoom speaking to the different committees. We got a lot of support in the Senate, the track did, and a lot of support except for one Native American state rep for the Pueblo that just went off the.
Oh, really?
Oh, he went crazy. And so Thora and them were having a big discussion. They're up there this week talking to us.
So a related question, Mayor, and Shirley Estes has reached out to me. She's having.
She's wore me out on that too. It's the same thing. We give credit where credit's due. We've done all of these things with the tribe, and some additional special recognition when we're still waiting for the BIA and the FBI reports that I'm still getting a lot of calls from, and they're getting ready to release those things. And so we're in big support, and then if some of the information comes out, what do we do? Because we're always in support. We've done it publicly, said it many times publicly. We've signed a joint letter with us, the tribe, everybody, but it's not about one just doing the other. It's all of us working together.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is you're not in support of her proposed proclamation.
It's not it's talking in the wind. I mean, what's the purpose of it, really? We've already done all that. And so to continue to do it belabors the issue with me. I'm going to say happy birthday, Greg, next month because Ron sent me a letter. We're going to have another happy birthday for you. It's just kind of that. And I've tried to explain that as best I can. And it just seems to wear the issue out to me, to not make it as big a deal, not make it that it's important because we are talking about those issues with the tribe, 100% support. That was why when they called, I went right up there to meet with their new council individually because they were still not understanding what was going on. So we sat down and we have an open chain of communication with everything. They gave us the
30,000.
Was it 30,000 even?
Yes.
I was thinking it was 34.
And we still haven't, and going back, Mayor, we haven't received, everyone signed this letter, and they can't find it. I've asked several times, and we cannot even get an answer back on that, so.
Is that the letter we talked about at the emergency center?
Yes.
Okay.
And so there's things like that, and there's no animosity, there's no any of that, but it's just, we do this on a consistent basis. And I would like to kind of get through all of this other stuff because they let us know that this week is supposed to be the results of the BIA. And so I told her, you realize that we're 100% support, and I want to come out with a proclamation that we determined we're accepting these results.
Okay.
And kind of do it then, and it's just kind of a timing issue. But I've tried explaining that. And and then all it does is somebody else gets a letter, an email, and then they're assuming that there's something else besides that, and there's nothing besides that. It's just, we've already done those things, we're in support, but it just seems to make the support,
I think she's just looking for a yes or no.
well, and I've said no.
Okay.
And I've wrote out an explanation deciding why at this time. And that there's other things coming in, and there's so many times that we have discussions that
Sure.
we don't talk about every bit of it in public. So,
Okay.
because it gets boring after a while.
Okay.
But once that time comes, then we will definitely put something out.
Okay. And Ron, regarding the Boys and Girls Club, I got a call, evidently they've canceled it a couple of times. The classes, I think they canceled it Friday, and the
Okay.
question is, why are they closed?
Not sure on that. We'll check with their new executive director, but he'll be here on Tuesday, and
Okay.
those are questions.
If you could just do that on the side, I
Okay.
don't want to rub his nose in it.
I mean,
That's not in our wheelhouse.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Just to
No,
get-
I'm just curious and.
Right.
Yeah, just to get the information out.
What about, did anybody else get a letter from Mr. Crunk?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
We got it
That's
taken care
been
of.
addressed.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
we had been working on it, and I told him that we were gonna have a discussion, and I would, with the council, but then Ron, the way he works, and with, Adam, went over and worked it out, so we're good.
That is so nice. We never have to worry because you follow through.
Oh, no, he's all over it, Ron is, so he does a great job with going into the burning bush and coming out.
With a
Sometimes-
glowing face.
Yeah, the hair's not quite there.
But the face is glowing.
too much.
But yeah, and we understand because the Crunks have been totally, that home's devastated
Oh, it's
over
sad.
there. And they're not the only ones in those areas, so we've tried to make,
He's a different man than
yes,
he was.
yep,
It's just.
sure is.
I noticed they're really cleaning the river.
Yes. And what I was talking about was, we're trying to get the final ROEs, right of entries,
Yes.
in Upper Canyon, because there's approximately $30 million still that NRC can get to.
About 36 million that they can touch, so there's, actually, I was just mentioning to Ron, we got good news this morning.
Well, do share.
They're confirming 100%, but on the river side, we are basically allowed to clean out, desilt the river, so NRCS is moving on that. We've been working on a plan with getting all the ROEs to everyone that is on river property. We'll probably be working with Cobb Finley or possibly another entity to try and see if we can help escalate that process pretty quickly. The good news is that the right-of-way debris removal contract was signed, so it's not just that they'll be removing that from the right-of-way, so the desilting will come out of the river and go to the right-of-way. We're 95% sure that FEMA will allow us to pick up all the P&M trees. So
Oh, wow.
if that happens,
That's a lot, too.
that's, we're talking almost 18,000 trees
That's
on the
big
ground that we
money.
can get
Yeah.
picked up. So we'll have hopefully confirmation by noon today, and if that is the case, then we'll start asking people to make sure they push or get, the only issue will be getting everything to the right-of-way. So if it's not on the
Yeah.
right-of-way already, that DRC will not be allowed to touch it if it's not in the right-of-way. So getting someone to assist individuals to help them move those trees off to the right-of-way will
Right.
be our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
So, and I've already talked to Jerry, we're gonna see what we can do with our grapples. We're only allowed to really stretch out about 15 feet, anything more could possibly tip our trucks. But for us, it's even a better approach to try and pull everything we can, just so we can start cleaning up the rest of those areas. And there's a significant amount of,
Plus
trees
the
up.
grapple, they can't pick up the big chunks, can
no,
they?
we would just pull them as close as we can.
Oh, I see, okay.
So the crews and the teams that are out there basically have bobcats with claws. They're gonna have chainsaws out there and finish picking those up as well. So,
Tom,
What kind of wear and tear is gonna happen on our grapple trucks? Do we need to be looking at trying to get another one?
So we just put in a grant for 4.
For the
Forestry, didn't it?
Yes, through
That
forestry.
was put in months ago.
And so we just got we put it in, we got the notice on Friday, that the grant was approved, and so now we can go after the trucks. That confirms 4 more trucks will be coming in, and so we're gonna be looking at replacing those one way or another. But the benefit of using this for a disaster on our trucks is that if there's an issue, we can start claiming the disaster, items on that. And so if there's damage or anything else, we can, get it paid for out of those funds, or get it reimbursed, not paid for, but reimbursed out of those funds.
Great. One more question on the municipal website down to the disaster, when you scroll down to the proposed floodplain or the interim, is that a updated one from after Cobb Finley is done? No.
That's
what
still,
Ashley put
yes,
out.
that's
what I
still the
thought.
Adam Ashley map.
But we're expecting Cobb Finley this week?
Yes, so it will be done by the 11th. We are going back and forth on data.
So you're saying shall, not may?
No, it will.
Shall be done by the,
Shall
Will
be done.
be on the agenda.
Yes.
Tuesday.
okay.
Good.
Well, we had
I
some
know,
language.
I know. It's a huge commitment.
Yeah, it's-
Zach's over here saying may and shall, so he's right.
But we were in some of the police discussions in
Oh, yeah.
Santa Fe where they
Shall.
were
May.
trying to change shall to may,
Yes.
or, and so we argued over it for an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
What is,
Yeah.
is, but there is a big difference between shall and may.
Yes, there
So that's great news on the P&M pickup, big time. And then how short are we on ROEs up there?
So there's a significant amount that we don't have.
So how do we get through this?
So we just, based on what the discussions were the last couple of days, we finalized the letter that was going to be going out to residents. We thought that was going to be done on Friday, but there was 2 or 3 other little items we had to check off. So that letter is done today. Now we can send that off to Carrie, and we'll really push out that campaign of sign up, clean up, or pay up. That pay up side is if people don't want to participate, we're gonna try and push them into that cleaning process. However, on Friday, we were also told that there is a non-compliance component for NRCS and for PPDR, that both of these entities have participated. I've never heard of it, never.
Like a condemnation clause
No,
of some
like
sort?
they just go in and they have to clean it, but they end up, doing it in like a public, safety issue or like, imminent threat issue. There's a whole nother process that they have to go through, so we're learning about that. We won't have information on that probably for another 2 weeks, because that's still in DHSCM legal.
There's still quite a few homes that have not been cleaned up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that have, but Tom and I were driving around, and it's unbelievable, the people that haven't cleaned
Speaking
up.
of all of this, Gavilan and Warrior, the Forest Service went in there and
Yeah,
cleaned up all that. Was that forest stuff there at that corner? We went in there, it's where it flooded after McBride and Eric had it all diverted and all that. They have gone in and, because it was Forest Service, from here that cleaned that all the way up the side of the hill towards the parking lot at the middle school and then back down and around by the,
I don't know who did that.
No,
it is the
That's
Forest Service.
School property.
but that's why I was like, the forest is on the other side of the road. That's why I was wondering.
How they got it cleaned?
It's,
Yeah, I mean, it looked great, but
is there where we did we did some diversions there with those, that's the one that we worked with, Riverbend on that.
Yeah, Riverbend's the one that designed
Yes.
that, Chris, but he's asking, it was cleaned, so how did they get it done?
not the Forest Service, it was.
I saw the
Forest Service
trucks
crews.
there.
Let me,
And we had our grapple trucks over there. We saw I think it was last week driving through there. They were
Yeah.
picking up some debris there.
so let me
Oh, I
ask,
mean, it's
'cause I don't
nothing,
know.
it's done. I was just
Yeah.
curious
Yeah,
as
how do we
to
get it done?
how, why did they go there
It's
instead
part of the 5 questions, what have you done?
Excellent. Well, and I agree, you should be able to answer about 30 questions, what you've done, and you can only answer 5?
Have they started laying off any of the forest workers here?
I haven't heard of it here, but I'm sure they have.
We did lose one person through NRCS, which was our main lead person. He took early retirement, and so he's no longer with NRCS as of Friday.
Who was that?
Patrick Fox.
Oh, well. I mean, I've been there when he said yes, and then later he said, what I meant by yes was really no. Well, we've already done it.
So
Good for him.
Their number 2, you've met her before, her name's Morgan. She's stepping into his role, and that was as of Friday, so.
Good.
And my friend Larry Cordova,
Yeah.
the biologist, no, not him, he's looking at retiring, but he had probationary employees
Yeah.
out of college, and I think he said 2 or 3 let go. And I think we picked one up in the parks, it wasn't one of, okay. I know it was from the Forest Service. None of the firefighters or any of that support is not, but, and they were, like you said, they were probationary employees.
FHWA had 4 engineers in the area, and now they only have 1. So they lost all of theirs in the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, but when we're on the verge of bankruptcy, and you two understand this more than most, what do you do next? If we're 34 trillion, it costs us $1 trillion in interest only. If we ran this village like this, you'd be hung. If you ran your personal business like that, you wouldn't be here. You know, but we run a country that way, and it's really terrible. So, anyway,
And
that's my
605 is doing good?
603.
Just came
603.
back from 603. So we're, May 15th. I don't know if I'm may or shall. I'll hold off on that second word. That is our goal. So we want a ribbon cutting that date.
On the 15th?
That is what we are pushing for. Today, there are 2 immaculate homes that you all can go see whenever you'd like. It's going to be the first 2 homes. Those are the ones that are your 2-bedroom and your 3-bedroom. So if we.
Are they cleaned and everything on the
They're
inside?
cleaned and everything is ready to go. Yes, sir.
It's another question someone asked me. Is the base rent higher on the new units than the ones at 603?
You mean?
Yeah, they're bigger.
I'm sorry, I don't think I understood the question.
How much is the base rent?
We were shooting for between 9 and 11, but I haven't talked to Berkshire Hathaway to see what the actual.
And how does that compare to the 603 rents?
That's what
That's
we were
603. You're
suggesting
talking
at
about,
603.
Meacham
Oh.
Meadows.
Meacham Meadows.
Meacham
Yes,
Meadows.
I'm sorry.
I am actually not familiar with the rents at Meacham Meadows.
Those are, Mayor Crawford, Council Corey, those are running between $900 and $1,200 there at the,
It's going to be really close to it, but
Yes.
these are
Bigger.
bigger.
Well, and I think the point was these are nicer.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
we going to be charging more for these?
and we had a 140 on our AMI on the mid-income there, or over here we have 285%, I believe, is what.
We were able to get that, and that's the big portion of it.
The
But
difference on the,
You understand my point?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know it's hard for the public to understand going from 140%. What is AMI? Is it $55,460 something dollars?
it was about 60.
Yeah, it was close to 60 there.
I know it
Family
wasn't
of-
60, but
yeah,
it was in between
Close to that,
Is
yeah.
that household or?
Yeah.
Yes.
For 4. And then, now then it's 285, and that's through the, is it 285 or 248?
285.
285 instead of 140, so that allows more people to qualify. But it's hard to explain all these dynamics. Our goal was to get good quality, safe, efficient housing at an affordable rate so people could get moved in and start building money.
Sure.
And so, but I get your point, but it's supply and demand still. So I don't see them going down over there.
I apologize. Mayor and Council, the other difference is the way they were financed. And so
Yes.
the 3 million that was given to us on the grant side has actually left us with almost 0 cost on the home itself versus what our component was at 1114.
Yeah.
So how we get back our money, what actually goes into the fund, all of those things are slightly different.
We used to call it cocktail funding, now we're calling it stacking.
Stacking.
I'd like to see those units.
So would
Okay.
I.
They're sweet. You're gonna be so impressed once we get the road. When are the millings? That's coming pretty quick.
So, today's, discussion said that once, utilities go through, we're hoping every 2 weeks, starting, in 2 weeks, PNM's the outlier. We'll have a discussion with them today, but milling should be in by the middle of April. And so then they'll finalize everything, hopefully, by May 1st, clean up everything, and so that by the 15th, we're good to go.
Oh, that's great.
That's the plan that we're gonna be holding
Y'all
everyone
are
to.
gonna be real proud of
Just
these when we
think-
get them done.
Almost a year.
Well, I can remember I first saw these buildings in Kansas City 2 or 3 years ago. I can't even remember. But it takes so long to get this going. And then when we're at the meeting at the Municipal League, in so many different meetings, they talk about, go talk to Mayor Crawford about what they're doing in housing. It is revolutionary. And it's like,
What?
it's taking forever.
So what I will say is you've had 3 or 4 superintendents from around the state. You've had 2 or 3 other managers and other elected officials that have come through HomeSpot, that have taken a tour of this location. There's a superintendent here today that's coming in. They'll park, they'll see these, go to Artesia, see some others, and then come back. So it's definitely a program that people are coming out and looking at.
And I'm hoping, and we're starting to get some inquiry from private individuals, that's what we really wanted to do, is that it can be done, that we're a body and that we have planning and zoning that will entertain and be able to work to get the objective, that they could come in on Alpine Ridge, all those areas, buy lots, plots, and then we could come in and do infrastructure, roll over curbs and all that. They would do them to our code. And then bury utilities, which would be a great idea. So all these costs go up, but then where they would, instead of being, remember we were talking about nearly $400 a square foot? Now we're talking down to 200 or less in some areas. And then with BuiltWise, over there, Mr. Mitchell, I've talked to those guys. So people are starting to get interested, and a lot of it has to do with what we've done, where we're almost completed, talking about getting the 72 units open, and then the fact that the track is going to be open in May. People are like, okay, we're going to be fine.
Well, Gary and I had a couple come up to us a few days ago and just express their sincere appreciation for everything the village is doing for workforce housing.
Well, no, that's the thing, whenever the trees start getting cut over there at, the new place.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any rendition out there of what that's gonna look like that we can have out?
Yes, Mayor Crawford, Counselor Hooker, the company is going to have they're going to place, just like we did at 603, is have a,
Sure, but I mean, as far as, our social media pushing it out, because again, when they start, because that thing is very heavily forested, I'm sure they're gonna have to cut.
they're going to have to go,
What it's going to do.
oh, yeah, they're going to have to cut, there's a lot of trees that are going to come down.
Darn animals. Okay.
So, but yeah, we've got that to try to set up, and then at 603, we'll be talking about fencing along Meacham to protect kids and stuff, because that's going to be done. DOT, when are they going to start looking at putting a cutout?
So I need to get back with them. We need to finish the big equipment moving in. So that should also be the middle of April, but we'll make sure we're coordinating.
Anything on the fencing at Meacham?
Yes, we're working that. I know Matthew and his group are working on that fencing. They've ordered it, and
Very good, thank you.
You're talking about Meadows.
yes.
Yeah, because it's right on the trail.
And so you've got that now. Then have we set any of the 10 by 10s at 603?
No. So.
But we do have the spot for them.
We do. So actually, they are building the pads as we speak in the same areas. So you're gonna see a lot of big machinery come in, a lot of dirt work in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. The pads should be built, they'll pre-cut the road, come in, build the pads in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and they're gonna work behind the utilities that are left. Once those are done, they'll flatten them out, and then they'll bring in the 10 by 10s also by end of March.
And that's the storage units.
Yeah, and when you drive through there, it's so nice that you can't really get in there because there's so much going on. There's been a lot of times I've called these guys, I'm driving around, there's nobody working. They're working, so.
Please, if you do take a tour in there, be cautious. There's a lot of open ditches. I actually almost went through one last night, not knowing that it was cutting the road. But there is orange fencing. There's a lot of ditches out there right now just because of the utilities. So if you want to go out there, let us know and we'll get you scheduled.
Yeah,
Do we own that rock house?
We do.
Yes, and
Is
the,
it
yes.
leased down?
Yes.
Yes.
Fran, we remodeled that 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yes.
I remodeled, that's a loose term, but we updated and
Painted it, flooring, and just
Yeah.
did a lot of work, new windows, and
it's rented out. And then Mike and Alex, don't you live back there, Alex?
You guys are in the log houses?
Yes, sir.
And we do have plans on painting those to kind of match the others.
Great.
And it's going to be really sweet. I can't wait.
They look nice.
And then we're waiting on the landscape companies.
We're gonna have
We
to
didn't
go out
have
to
anybody
rebid.
respond.
So we're doing two things. We're looking at rebidding. We're also looking at state price agreement, or we're looking at CES. The main issues with those, and we've already gotten some feedback, is that most of them are either out of Santa Fe or Albuquerque.
Yeah,
They don't want to drive down here.
We didn't get any local response?
So the bid that we did get was non-responsive. They didn't respond accordingly to the bid. We're actually going to be meeting with two of those entities, I think, this week, so that when we do go back out to rebid, we can say, hey, you really have to hit these points.
There's a new landscaping company. I saw it on Facebook yesterday, the Woodle Boys.
Oh.
have. So,
Well, the problem is the scope seems pretty big for some of it, and they want to make sure they're doing what it is and that they bid it right. So I think there was some, a tendency to be a little afraid of it. And so then as we get more things done, what Mike and them have done is narrow it down so they can actually see, and then they could maybe do a better walkthrough or something, I'm guessing.
Well, when we did the initial walkthrough, we actually had a significant number of locals out there. I do think it scared some of them to see what they had to do, and so we only received that one bid when it came out.
Because it's going to be a pretty good number, for that acreage that we have there.
All 10 homes, and then.
Yeah. But man, it's going to be sweet.
Running costs for them just to get
So, oh, and I was just going to remind you on that Upper Canyon stuff. Have y'all talked to Judge Potter? I think we were looking at some contact information, and they were able to get some. And then Leroy at the county, the assessor's office. It's what a change this is. He's answers the phone, calls me back. They will help us find any information that we need up there. And I know Judge Potter had received some of that because he's been looking for people on the defensible space stuff.
Okay.
So he was sending it to us.
we have it, and we sent it to Cobb Finley to look at it. We're waiting on a proposal from their surveying group that we might be able to work with them and contact the property owners. Because I was explaining to them how difficult it can be. There may be one property may be owned by 6 family members, and you have to have an ROE from each one because they may be in dispute or whatever else.
But this NRCS thing that they were talking about, there may be a mechanism that, because that's who's doing it, is NRCS.
So NRCS is desilting the river. They provided us their ROE, and they're not necessarily going door to door. They are trying to get ROEs, but they are depending on us and.
And then they'll hire local contractors.
Yes.
Like Wilson and those
They-
guys.
They have several locals already working for them to do most of this stuff. They're basically coordinating. So the teams that were at the track for both the ERC and NRCS, I think, are just shifting, and they're gonna try and bring more people on.
Okay, and I'm not trying to blow you out here, but just to get us caught up. Also on, once the Cobb Finley deal comes out, then the funding either through NRCS or USDA, or FEMA, excuse me, to purchase property that can't be rebuilt and can't be done, that's still in the works too?
So we are working with NRCS. Part of the information that we're working with Cobb Finley on, there's a component to the H&H that needs to be done. I think that'll do half or the majority of the work. Basically, with the final portion of the H&H, they have to see who's encroaching on the river itself. And so what we have to do is get a total number of people that are in the floodway and then a total number of people in the floodplain. We did a quick run through and estimate. It looks like there's roughly 82 people in the floodway. Homes, actual homes that are in the floodway that would technically qualify. Now, we're not sure how those homes were damaged, what the level of damage was, so we would need to talk to those residents and those homeowners to see what their substantial damage was. The substantial damage, just as a reminder, was the 50% above or below.
Right.
If they are in that area, we have to have that count, and then we have to have the count of people that were in the floodplain that were impacted. The way the program works, from my understanding, is the individuals still have to see if they qualify for the classic NRCS project first. And that project is where they come in and put diversionary projects in, whether
Like
it's Hesco
Paradise Canyon.
baskets or things like that. The issue is they wouldn't qualify because they're in the floodway, and so you can't build anything in a floodway, which means they then, because they don't qualify for the first track, they then qualify for the buyout. And so that would trigger how many people
And we
actually
requested like 250, and it was like now down to 146 or whatever million, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yes, sir. So it's about
We would use to buy
125,
them
30
out.
million.
So I notice at the old Adobe Plaza property, they've got travel trailers in the back.
That's
No,
different
that's
property.
the-
Different property.
Oh, it is different.
The people that
Yes.
have the RV park up there, that's
Part of the-
theirs.
Yeah, that's part of the
So you
RV.
can have portable stuff there but on down is different property. That was Adobe Plaza, and then the gentleman that you're still negotiating with that owns the stuff right down there on the river.
Right.
So you had you have the cabins, you had Adobe Plaza, you have a private resident, which is where you see that one trailer in the very back, and then you see the trailer park portion that's on the left-hand side. And so those are the four pieces of property that are all in that area.
And then, Mayor, back on your question about the potential sometime in the future buying some of these,
That's
would there be a plan? So
What I figure we would do, and this is, of course, up to y'all, but the money that he's talking about, that's what I was asking about. When are we going to be able to start accessing that, filling out the application? So we come into these areas, it's going to be green space, permanent.
Right.
And then we we identify those areas, and then maybe we put together, like we've done with Upper Canyon, whatever people that are in the area, and then overall with Parks and Rec, how does that fit in the big portion of lifestyle, hiking, biking?
Right.
And then have a
So
decision.
it's not, it wouldn't be piecemeal, we'd actually have.
Yeah, I want to try to do a whole thing together. Some of them, I think, are going to have to be, for the next 3 to 5 years, diversionary, retention type stuff. But then what do we want to look like? Because this is going to take time, but, do you have photo ops, you have a walking trail, you have access to the river for fishing when we stock it, and then build a habitat when we're redoing the river.
Okay.
And then maybe a gazebo for photo ops, benches, all of that stuff. What do you want? And then bring the local neighborhoods in, because the guy across the river is not gonna want fishing, but it's public property now. And so how do we best do what is in the best interest of the public, the village, but keep in regard your perception too? And so how do we work together? And that'll be a whole nother big discussion coming up. But those are things I think we need to be talking about and planning now. But if we're too early, it's gonna be like White Mountain. We already did all this stuff. When are we gonna build, it takes a while to get this in process. And so the average citizen doesn't understand the hurdles that everybody jumps through. But I think we can start forecasting. We have a plan. It's not, I's aren't dotted, and T's aren't crossed, but we have that where we're gonna go, but we're gonna get input. That's my position, these guys' position, and then I think it would make it easier on your part decision on being able to allocate which one do we do first, which one has the most visual impact to start so people can feel better about what's happening, and then we work through the others. So And that's why I keep asking it, you know, this H&H study and the floodplain and floodway, that's critical before we can even get to those.
The thing about it is they don't have the money yet. So when you tell people about buyouts, and I know we have to plan, but, I mean, they expect, okay, I want you to buy me out.
And here's how much I want.
And, you know, that's,
Yes, ma'am.
this could be years down the
Oh,
road.
definitely.
So we actually think this will be just to put it in context, and mayor and councilors, to the point of planning, the H&H, once it comes in, I think it'll help us identify quickly what properties are eligible, possibly. And then we have to look at the programs that are available, because there's some program, let's say it's NRCS, there may be a qualification to help divert, but there isn't a qualification to help buy out.
No.
Right.
But if you see the FEMA plan, and that may not come out for another year or two, then you're gonna see another program that says, well, maybe we can assist here. Either way, we still have to come up with monies, and that's the other component. So you're planning on the buyout and what it'll look like, but you're also planning on the funding portion. So like the mayor mentioned, I mean, we may need 130, 150, 200 million, depending on the numbers you use. But once you get that, where's that money coming from? This year in March, the budget from USDA, just for this kind of program, it's only 135 million. 135 million won't even cover, and it'll probably go to California, North Carolina. Now you have the East Coast that's starting to burn up. And so those are all of the things that are happening. We don't know where that money is going to come from or how much is going to be available. So
Plus,
that's-
if we're
that's the piece
if
you
we're
have to
cutting back on our spending as far as,
Well, there's a lot of it's redirecting. That's what they're saying, is identifying things that are wasteful and directing funding to things that you can identify. That's the whole discussion that people forget, is that it's just like when we do our budget, there's certain things that we don't go after that we deem are more critical. So those are things, because we've been in contact with Texas representative, because they were more in the know at the federal level, that, you know, that they're looking at funding that has already been spent, or that's earmarked, that they've come in, and just on its face, when you plug in the numbers, that's why it looks like a chainsaw, is that it's like, well, those things don't even qualify, so why are we doing those? And so they hack that out, and then they're reevaluating. And then, okay, we save money here, and then trying to reapply it to FEMA, because that's one of their, he said, is a big discussion because of North Carolina. Now then you got more fires in South Carolina, and then Arizona. And then we're saying, hey, I mean, not Arizona, California, but we're saying, I don't hear New Mexico anywhere. And so we've got some of the biggest senators, Heinrich, on USDA, and they're not even talking about us. I don't understand. So we call Xochitl Torres Small. She's a big wig at USDA, and she's trying to get us in that national conversation. So that's why we've gone after people that have more direct access to the new administration to say, hello, we're here, and we need to get this funding back, because it's like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. Cut, waste, but ours isn't waste.
and
That's what everybody's saying, too.
would you clarify that when and if this does happen, it's at the value of the house before the flood? No?
So that has to be discussed. So ultimately, the sponsors, so in our case, it would be us and the county, would have to come to an agreement of what that looks like. There would have to be a discussion of how much, and ultimately, we would have to come up with the 25%. Whether that's us
On every
internally in the
place?
general fund, whether that's, well, and it's of the larger number, but that's why you would want to go to the state and say, we need help with this. So if we ask for 150 million,
You're gonna need 50 million, or 25% of 150
Well, it
million.
sounds like it's still a moving target.
Oh, yes.
definitely.
Yep.
But we've got to have those conversations on what does that look like, and because we were wanting pre-catastrophe valuations, but you got to remember, some people are going to get paid out for their home, and we're talking about buying their land.
I understand
And so
that,
that's
yeah.
one aspect of it, but Leroy and the tax assessors have been in Upper Canyon, zero, property value, because it's all burned up, and so they're taking a lot of those to zero. And they've been up there and going through that, so you can't pay zero the land's worth something. And so that's the big fight that we're gonna have to be taking on behalf of our citizens and whatnot. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay,
Think we're good? Zachary?
okay. How much longer till they have a wrap on dead letters?
The 15th, this month.
Okay,
And this year, on the Saturdays, when they have the magistrate court scene happening, and you're all welcome to come to get a chance to meet the actors, Margot Martindale and Jefferson White, Jeffrey Root, and get a chance to.
That's
Yeah.
a movie that's being shot.
yeah, and it's, I got to meet Margot, she was really nice. She's just like Mags on Justified. Yeah, yeah. So that's going well, and also remind everybody about the fundraiser at the convention center on
Hope Harbor.
Hope Harbor on Saturday. And do we have an update on anything, Chief? Can you talk about it yet?
Well, everybody's already finding out about it. They should be putting out
Okay.
back version, so they had a bomb threat at the high school. I think just in an abundance of caution, because it hasn't happened in so long, the parents don't even know what to do. So they're actually taking the kids over to the convention center. They're gonna do reunification over there. And I've got my guys working on tracking the number backwards like we did on the one that happened in Midtown. Just to make sure that everything's good. So,
And there's no update on Midtown.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
on
No,
the Midtown one, so the Midtown one, the only thing I've got is that it came from overseas.
Like like the one before.
It's the third time it's happened. They all come from overseas. And I don't know that this one's gonna be any different. I would hope this one's local, because if it is, then we'll absolutely go after them. But, right now, that's kind of where we stand.
And if y'all remember way back when we had the threats at Mescalero schools, it was chaos. And so we started the conversation with the tribe then about how to handle, going. And so these guys are doing a great deal on the reunification, and
Well,
it's good practice.
It'll be a good practice exercise, although I'm not big on practice exercise when we don't have to. However, those are conversations that we were gonna have after last week anyways, not necessarily with the school, but just not in response to begin with. But, no, I don't know what their protocols are, but obviously today's not a day, it's not very conducive to put people out on the field,
Right.
with the weather the way it is.
Is Warrior closed, Chief?
So we did have Warrior shut down for a little bit, but, I think Fire had it shut down for a little bit, or? Okay, yeah, so they've still got it shut down.
The other thing as a wash from knowing what happened during McBride and a reunification is their law enforcement presence at the convention center.
So we do have law enforcement there.
Okay.
I've got an officer there. I've also got Eric's going over there. I've got extra resources. Adam's sending one over for me, to help out with reunification. And, I think Assistant Chief Miley's going over.
Perfect, yeah.
You just bust the kids over?
Yes, ma'am, they're gonna bus them over.
Okay.
Where was the threat called in?
To the high school. They're in the central, or in the office. They call the general number. So, once I find out where that came from and what the status is, I'll let you guys know.
Chief Hall, do you have something? Okay,
Chief,
so,
I don't know if you can talk about this. What happened at Parts Unknown?
To my knowledge, I believe that was a DWI crash that I think they kind of.
that also
ran
hit the
into.
Shamrock.
Yes, so they ran into something that hit, then in turn hit Parts Unknown, the building. I don't believe that the vehicle actually hit the building, and then they did the same thing, I think, at Diamond Shamrock. So I was talking to, Ron about it, and we're working with Andrew to get the video from, because it literally happened right in front of that camera. We're gonna try and pull the video.
So, but the car was okay?
It was
It was
enough,
gone.
they took off and left.
Yeah, it was gone.
So they had a couple of, ideas on what the vehicle description could be, but hopefully this video will help.
All of the windows are gone.
Yeah, they were worked
Yeah.
Thursday, Wednesday night,
Wednesday night,
or real early Thursday morning, because,
it was around midnight, whatever night it was.
wait a minute. When did I leave for Texas? Friday or Sunday?
Saturday.
It happened Saturday night. Sunday morning when I'm leaving, they're already out there with wood framing it in, and, yeah, we got some phone calls, and I thought there was a car inside, so I was calling Chief like,
What the
people
heck?
were lighting me up, and And then he called me back and said, no, it was like they hit something, it crashed, it left, but also they got diamond shamrock.
And I don't know that there was a whole lot of damage to the diamond shamrock, but it was
Yep.
that they actually noticed it.
Did it hit those posts and then the posts caused the windows to crash?
I think so.
Yeah,
Or at least it hit the post that then in turn fell into the window.
because most of the windows are gone.
Mayor Chief Hall had a real quick on the levels for the fire restriction.
So, we've been working with the Forest Service and everything, their numbers came back, we're gonna have another meeting on the 7th, but they're anticipating on the 10th, us going to level 2,
Unless we get rain,
unless we get a measurable amount of rain.
measurable.
And that's gonna have to be quite a bit, like, it's supposed to snow Friday, Saturday, but unless it's a lot, it's not gonna help anything.
Well, I know our spring breakers called and canceled yesterday that were gonna stay with us, and they all said they're gonna go somewhere else.
Sure.
But there's not any snow in New Mexico, really.
Now,
Even Wolf Creek's not good.
I talked to the mayor of Red River, and she said it was a disaster.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you, everybody. Thanks, guys. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, thank you.
We'll see you later, buddy.
See you.